Police in Tamil Nadu will soon have canteens just like their counterparts at the army. Goods at subsidized rates for the men in khaki. Milk dealers take to the streets, demand a reduction in the hike in prices. The expert group report on Kudankulam is out. It promises radiation safety of people around the plant and assures no harm to fishing activity. A businessman's employees turn out to be his own assassins, strangulating him for the gold he was wearing. A hunt for the killers is on. These visually challenged men and women get up close and personal with the RTI to use it as an armor for their riots someday. And no hush now. Child abuse gains more eyeballs than ever. Activists demand that a bill be passed to stop this crime sprout. Welcome to the news tonight on NDTV Hindu. Today is World Day for Prevention of Child Abuse, a cause that NDTV Hindu strongly supports and pledges to bring about change to get the victims justice. I'm Evelyn Matthew, and a closer look at the national buzz as well before we get you all of the stories in detail. CBI raids Vodafone and Bharti offices in Delhi, Mumbai and Lucknow for wrongdoing in spectrum allocation during Pramod Mahajan's tenure. Despite Rahul Gandhi's aggressive push, the land acquisition bill may not make it in this session of Parliament. As the Prime Minister and Chinese leaders meet at the ASEAN Summit, an exclusive on how China plans to attack Indian trade ships. And India votes against Iran at IAEA along with 35 other nations, expresses concerns about its nuclear programs. Child abuse today is a universal and alarming problem that calls for effective and preventive measures at all levels, be it within a family structure to even an international scale. On a day that is observed as the International Day of Prevention of Child Abuse, child rights activists have called for a bill to be passed at the Parliament that spells harsh punishment for violators. Several city organizations have been looking at creating awareness among parents, schools and the public in being more proactive in preventing abuse. Campaigns and workshops have also been at the forefront in teaching children how to protect themselves. According to a recent report by the Indian government, the number of children being abused and harassed in schools has tripled in the last 3 years, and Tamil Nadu is one of the worst affected states, and what is needed now is an effective law in order to punish these offenders.
4 out of 5 children has been abused daily by some other, day-to-day routine way itself. While going to school or going in the bus or at the home, the isolated children and the homes, due to many reasons and many circumstances, each and every children are abused.
Moving on to another bit of news making headlines, the Tamil Nadu State Police Force has just gotten lucky at a time of rising prices and fuel pinches, bringing the men in khaki on par with military personnel in terms of services rendered. The Chief Minister Jayalalitha today announced the setting up of canteens to sell goods to police personnel at subsidized rates. She compared the police force as protectors of the country and from anti-social elements, just like the military are defenders from foreign enemies. These canteens are set to function similar to the canteen store department available for the armed forces personnel and will sell goods without applying the value-added tax or the VAT. These canteens will in fact initially be opened in 3 places. That's the Tamil Nadu Special Police Regimental Centre at Avadi. In fact, that's one of the centres. Apart from that, Tamil Nadu Special Police 1 Battalion in Tiruchirappalli and Tamil Nadu Special Police 6 Battalion in Madurai at a cost of 1 crore rupees. The benefactors will include police personnel, retired police personnel and their families, and families of deceased officers. A day after the milk price hike turned sour for consumers, milk dealers have requested the state government to mark an exact selling price of almond milk and monitor the supply by brokers. In fact, brokers for the moment are supplying half a litre of milk to dealers at a rate of 13 rupees and 25 paise, but the MRP remains 13 rupees and 50 paise. Since dealers are unable to make profits, in fact, requests are going to be sent to the Chief Minister to fix rates so as to reap those benefits. But the dealers have warned that if the government fails to take action, they will boycott from selling almond products once and for all.
தமிழக அரசு வந்து பால் விலையை வந்து லிட்டருக்கு 6.25 ரூபாய் உயர்த்தியிருக்காங்க. இந்த விலை உயர்வுன்றது வந்து ஏற்கனவே அத்தியாவசிய பொருட்களோட விலை உயர்வுக்கு மத்தியில் அல்லல்பட்டு கொண்டு இருக்கும் சாமானிய மக்களையும் நடுத்தர மக்களையும் வெகுவாக பாதிக்கும் அப்படின்றதுனால இந்த விலை உயர்வை வந்து மறுபரிசீலனை பண்ணணும் அப்படின்ற முக்கிய கோரிக்கையாக மாண்புமிகு தமிழக முதல்வர் அவர்கள் முன்னாடி முன்வைக்கிறோம். அது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் இன்றைக்கி வந்து ஆவின் பால் வந்து நைஸ் வந்து 13 காலம், கிரீன் மேஜிக் வந்து 15 காலம் வழங்குறதாக இடைத்தரகர்கள் எங்களுக்கு அறிவிச்சிருக்காங்க. சென்னை மாநகர் மற்றும் சென்னை புறநகர மட்டும் சுமார் 10,000 பால் முகவர்கள் நாங்கள் இருக்கிறோம். இந்த 10,000 பால் முகவர்கள் மூலமாக தான் ஆவின் பால் வந்து பொதுமக்களை போய் சென்றடையுது. ஆனால் அந்த ஆவின் நிறுவனத்தில் வந்து இருக்கக்கூடிய 34 இடைத்தரகர்கள் மூலமாக வந்து எங்களுடைய பால் முகவர்களை வந்து அதுக்கப்புறம் சில்லறை வணிகர்கள் சென்றடையும் போது ஆவின் பால் வந்து அதிகபட்ச சில்லறை விற்பனைக்கு மேலே விற்பனை செய்யக்கூடிய ஒரு நிர்பந்தத்துக்கு தள்ளப்பட்டிருக்கோம். ஏன்னா இன்றைக்கி எம்ஆர்பி வந்து 13.50, 15.50 நிர்ணயம் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஆனால் அவங்க வழங்கக்கூடிய விலை வந்து 13.25, 15.25 அப்படிங்கும்போது பொதுமக்களுக்கு நாங்கள் என்ன ரேட்டு சில்லறை வணிகர்களுக்கு வழங்குறது, சில்லறை வணிகர்கள் வந்து பொதுமக்களுக்கு என்ன ரேட்டுக்கு விற்பனை செய்வது. அப்போது பொதுமக்களுக்கு வந்து அதிகபட்ச சில்லறை விற்பனைக்கு மேலே விற்பனை செய்யக்கூடிய ஒரு நிர்பந்தத்துக்கு தள்ளப்பட்டிருக்கு.
In the big news coming in from the boiling Kudamkulam side, the expert group report on the Kudamkulam crisis has finally been made public. According to this document, a Fukushima-like accident is not conceivable at Kudamkulam, and the radiation safety of people, they say, around the plant has been guaranteed. The report adds that the spent fuel will not be reprocessed at Kudamkulam. It also says that the state-of-the-art technology has been employed for safe management of radioactive wastes. They have promised that there will be no radioactivity release through seawater cooling. On the safety aspect, it reiterated that there may not be any harm to the fishery potential of the resident marine environment. As far as questions of earthquakes in the zone are concerned, the report addresses in fact, that seismic safety of the plant is assured with a large safety margin. It was the centre that formed the expert group to allay public fears, and a report was presented to the Tamil Nadu government-appointed panel on Friday, but people's representatives say the second round of talks with the expert group failed. In some crime news from the Nanganallur area, a businessman was murdered by his own employees for his jewellery. The 54-year-old man, who was a resident of the area, was believed to have been strangulated with a telephone wire. A bracelet and 3 gold rings worth close to 7 sovereigns are missing from the victim's body. As a post-mortem report has been ordered for, the police in the area are on the lookout for the cold-blooded killers. In some news that's not being welcomed by medical students in the state, the Tamil Nadu MGR Medical University has announced a new scoring system for MBBS students, which is likely to affect 1,300 students in first and second years. 2 months ago, a judgment in favour of these students was passed, wherein the university was asked to take back final year students for their house surgency internship, which left first year students to continue with their education unperturbed.
MGR Medical University has announced a new scoring system in the exams for the MBBS studying students. Because of this system, nearly 1,300 students, both belonging to the first year and the final year, have been affected. We have appealed to the High Court. The High Court gave a judgment in favor of us, asking the university to take back the students for internship, final year students into house surgeon internship, and the first year students should be allowed to continue with their education. No constructive decision has been taken by the university. It has not given the students their right and has not sent them to work or to education.
Now, remembering the Iron Lady of India on her 94th birth anniversary, the State Congress Unit's chief, B.S. Jnanadesakan, alongside other Congress leaders today, paid their floral tribute to the leader. Indira Gandhi's statue was in fact showered with garlands, as the TNCC chief said that he would follow the footsteps of the great leader to take the party to much greater heights.
We have to bring back the glory during the days of late Shri Kamaraj, and we have all taken the pledge to work together and see that the golden era is again repeated and reenacted.
When we come back on the news tonight to see clearer into their opportunities, here's a story on how the Right to Information Act lights the path of these men and women who have an inner vision.